I talk with clients a fair amount about the cost of college, and even I am still blown away often by how much it costs to send a kid to college these days. And there's a compulsion, I feel, that people want to fund 529 plans to anticipate this cost. And I thought I would talk a little bit about the pros and cons of that. I'm Jessica Lanning. I'm an independent certified financial planner. I will say from the get-go, I am not a fan of the 529 plan. I don't like that it allocates a chunk of money to one specific purpose in your life. And yes, if you don't use the money on higher education expenses, you can spend some of that money K to 12, depending on what state you're in and what benefits you get from doing that. But really, it's allocating a chunk of money really to only one purpose. It actually limits people's flexibility and options in their overall financial plan. And I just don't like them for that reason. But people really want to fund them because they think somehow if they fund a 529 plan, that kid will actually go to college. And I'm not even sure that's going to be true. And I think college is going to change a lot over the next 20 years. And is it going to even be worth it to have that big chunk of money in a 529 plan? We just don't know. And again, it just limits flexibility and options. So that's why I don't like them. That's what I think the big cons are of the 529. But here's what I do like about the 529. It does put some money away and it creates a habit of saving. Like that's its biggest benefit. And so, yeah, it's only going to go to one purpose, but at least you have saved some money. Chances are pretty good that if you went to college, your kids will go to college and you'll actually get to spend that money on a college expense. And if your kid gets a free ride or chooses not to go to college, then there is the opportunity to pass that money down through the generations to send other kids to college. And there's also the possibility that money can be moved from that account into a Roth IRA for that particular child. So there are some benefits. There are ways to use those plans these days and the money in those plans to go ahead and further other financial planning goals. But I'm just not a huge fan. So here are my guidelines around funding 529 plans. If grandparents want to fund them, that's great. They're usually the ones that have the resources in order to do this. I don't mind that they fund 5 years in advance because they have the opportunity to do that. So they can fund a whole bunch of money at once and just allow that money to grow. So that's a great way to move money from one estate to another purpose. The other thing that I usually advise clients about is don't put more money in there than about half the cost of college. So go on some website, go figure out what school you think your kid might go to, what the cost of college is, estimate what it's going to be when they actually enroll. And I really don't want more than half the cost of college in that 529 plan. And then you've really got to be on top of that 529 plan. Typically, you've got to figure out what state you want to fund it in. You can only change the allocations usually once a year. There's some rules about how you get that money out and what plans are going to be the easiest to do that from, whether you can send money directly to the college, etc. So those are the things that I tell my clients to look for and how to utilize these 529 plans the best, whether you're funding one for a grandchild or you're funding one for a child that you have. Again, you want to talk to your tax advisor, you want to talk to your financial planner about whether or not this is really the highest and best use of your money. But it is certainly something to consider. And remember, there's always lots of ways to fund college. You don't have to fund it just from the 529 plan. Preserve your flexibility and options and do what's best for your family. I'm Jessica Lanning. Lanning Does Planning.